Welcomed, dreamers, to the realm where time whispers its secrets. Tonight, we drift into a forgotten age, where shadows fell not from the moon, but from men who feared the light of knowledge. We speak of the Cathars, guardians of a vanished wisdom, seekers of a truth buried beneath centuries of silence. They called themselves the Good People, and their flame burned quietly in the Languedoc hills, until the storm of crusade came. Before we embark on this journey through time's mysteries, if these ancient whispers resonate with your soul, let your presence be known through a gentle light, and join our circle of dreamers by subscribing to continue these nightly journeys into history's hidden realms. Share with us, fellow dreamers, from which corner of the world you're joining tonight's contemplation. Let the global community of history's mysteries connect across time zones as we drift together into the past. Now, close your eyes, slow your breath, and follow the faint glimmer of memory through the mists of medieval twilight. Let the tale begin. It is nightfall in southern France. The sun has long dipped behind the ancient Pyrenees, and the last gold of twilight melts into violet shadow. Crickets hum through olive groves, and the stone walls of Cathar fortresses hold the day's heat like gentle coals. You are there, in the land once called Occitania. Here the air smells of rosemary and distant woods. The people speak a tongue soft as poetry, a language older than along winding paths. Barefoot shepherds hum lullabies that no longer exist. Within candlelit stone rooms, parchment is unrolled, and the wisdom of the ages flows in quiet whispers. In this world the Cathars live simply. Their homes are humble, their meals of grain and oil, their speech laced with scripture not drawn from Rome but from something older, more secret. They are not rebels with swords, but thinkers with silence. Above them rises the sacred fortress. Its walls are ancient bones in the sky. The good men and good women who dwell there do not crown bishops or build cathedrals. They teach that the world, as it is broken, created by a lesser force, that the true divine lies elsewhere, in light. And so, the Cathars are dangerous, not because of violence, but because they ask questions. Imagine a world not of one truth, but two. The Cathars believe that what you see is illusion. This world of flesh, of pain, of decay is not the creation of the true divine. It is the work of a dark architect, a demiurge who shaped the material world as a prison for the soul. To them, the divine was pure light, unreachable by sword or sermon. It was within, beyond flesh, beyond stone. Their belief was older than Christendom, echoing whispers from Gnosticism, from the sands of Alexandria, from Babylonian nights. The Cathars did not baptize with water, but with words. They rejected marriage, wealth, even meat seeking to unbind the soul from the world's illusions. The most devout became the perfecti, the purified. They walked barefoot, healed the sick, shared nothing but words and bread. To the peasants of Languedoc, they were saints. To Rome, they were heretics. And in the silence of night, as stars turned above, the Cathars read hidden texts and waited, not for power, but for understanding. Let us walk now through the villages of Cathar lands. Each stone path carries memory. Each fountain echoes with stories. In Albi and Carcassonne houses glow dimly with lamplight. Here Catharism spread not through force, but by quiet example. Children learn from their mothers to trust the goodness within. Fathers speak to their sons not of conquest, but of gentleness. The parfaits walk among them, offering healing, not demands. There are no great churches, no gold, only the earth, the stars, and a book passed from hand to trembling hand. The Gospel of John, the book of the two principles, and other scrolls lost to time. In these whispering lands, knowledge was not hoarded. It was breathed, like wind between cypress trees. And still, the dark tide grew near. Far to the north, beyond the Alps, beyond the Tiber, the seat of Rome turned its gaze toward the south. It heard of Cathar gatherings beneath moonlit skies. It heard of priests ignored, of tithes unpaid, of a people who believed heaven was not above. But within, to Rome, this was not a disagreement. It was defiance. Pope Innocent III, most powerful of all medieval popes, could not tolerate a land where alternative truths bloomed like wildflowers. The Church had spent centuries constructing its order. The Cathars, with their barefoot truths and inward light, threatened to undo it all. And so, in 1208, a papal legate was killed, perhaps by bandits, perhaps by zeal. This was all the excuse that was needed. The cry went out across Europe there would be a crusade, not against the sun, not across oceans, but here within Christendom, against knowledge, against dreamers, against the light. Let us pause and breathe, for the world is about to change. In July of 1209, a great host crossed the Rhine, not a foreign enemy, not a pagan invader, but knights, nobles, and fanatics from the north, from the west, marching under the cross of Christ. They sang hymns, they bore banners. They did not understand the land they entered. Their orders were clear: purge the heresy, burn the knowledge, silence the songs the first to fall, a city of thousands. And when asked how to distinguish Cathar from Catholic, the papal commander allegedly replied, kill them all. God will know his own. But we shall not dwell on fire, not here. We turn instead to the silence that followed. The Cathars who fled into the hills, the women who sang to the wind, the scribes who buried their books beneath almond trees, and the soft footprints in the forests of those who would not kneel to Rome, nor raise a sword. As the fires burned in the valleys, the Cathars did not scream. They vanished into the grottos, into the mountains, into the folds of stone that only shepherds knew. They became ghosts among the chestnuts, not because they died, but because they refused to be found. The perfecti, those most devoted, hid in high places, where the winds whispered secrets between crags. They took no vengeance. They lit no torches. Instead, they carried with them the last scrolls, the last songs, the last breath of a belief older than cathedrals. They became the keepers of silence, not out of fear, but reverence, for what is more sacred than a truth that cannot be destroyed, only forgotten. There are tales half remembered in mountain villages, of a book that was never burned, the book of love, a gospel spoken of in quiet tones, never fully written, but passed like embers from voice to voice. It spoke of a divine light that burned not in the heavens, but within each being, even the lowest shepherd, even the most forgotten child. The church had no place for such ideas. There could be no structure, no hierarchy, if all was sacred. So the book disappeared, not in flame, but in secrecy, buried beneath slate stones, tucked into the lining of a robe, woven into lullabies sung to babies in the cradle. Some say it waits still, beneath or deep within the Pyrenean caves, not to be found, but to be remembered. Above the clouds, where falcons drift like memories, rises a fortress shaped like a star, built on an impossible summit. Its walls are not high, but the world beneath them is far, far away. Here, the last Cathars made their stand, not with swords, but with songs and stillness. They knew the armies would come. They knew the siege would last. But they believed in light. And so, in 1244, as the snows melted, the fortress fell. The soldiers offered mercy. If the Cathars would recant, none did. 200 walked into the flames, hand in hand, singing. But we will not dwell on the fire. We will dwell on what remained. The silence, the starlight, and the echo of voices that refused to vanish. After Saul believed the Cathars were no more, but they had only changed form. Like mist in the valleys, they spread along the forgotten paths, paths not found on any map, through the Black Mountains, along shepherd trails, into Italy, and further still. The parfaits became wandering healers, offering nothing but presence, gentle words, and quiet hands. They spoke little. They taught only to those who listened without fear. Their lives became riddles, half seen, half guessed. Were they still Cathars? Were they something else entirely? No one can say. Only that a flame, once lit, can smolder for centuries without smoke. In the villages of Languedoc legends linger of old women who knew the names of herbs without ever opening a book, of men who sang songs to the moon in dialects no priest could understand, of children who spoke of light before they learned of heaven. Some say beneath every old church in the region there are older stones, Cathar stones, laid without mortars, fitted with care, aligned with stars, and beneath those stones nothing, no bones, no gold, only silence, because wisdom to the Cathars was not to be possessed, only honored. Even after the swords were sheathed, the war did not end. Rome sent inquisitors, men with ledgers and cold eyes, not warriors but bureaucrats of forgetting. They entered homes with questions, turned dreams into accusations, and traced family trees to prune them. But even the Inquisition could not touch what had no shape. Songs hummed under breath, wells blessed not with Latin, but with silence. Symbols carved into the lintels of forgotten homes. This was the Second Crusade against memory. And yet, memory endures where history fails. There is a lullaby, sung in the foothills of the whose words mean nothing to modern ears, a gentle hum, a trembling rhythm. It speaks of light and shadow, and a journey within. Old grandmothers say it is simply a song, but the melody holds the shape of something ancient. Could it be a Cathar chant, a fragment of the Consolamentum ritual, a child's version of a gospel long lost? None can say, only that when sung, the trees seem to listen, and the stars blink slower, as though they remember, too. In ruined towers, where ivy covers the stones like memory, names still remain. Père Esclarmonde, chiseled into broken walls, and etched in the margins of books no one dares open. Even the smoke of forgotten villages rises with a shape like questions never answered. Who were the Cathars, truly? What did they know that we have lost? Perhaps the truth is not a secret, but a silence. And silence, as we dreamers know, is the oldest form of truth. Across the southern countryside, ruins rise like teeth through soil. They are towers for thought, for prayer, for waiting. Their names ring like bells in mist. Each stone was placed not for defense, but for communion. High above the world where clouds kiss the rock and birds drift in stillness, The Cathars built their last sanctuaries. To stand in such places even now is to feel the breath of something ancient. Not power, not pride, but purpose. For the towers still dream, and in their dreaming, they remember us. In candlelight, with hands placed gently upon the head, a sacred rite was offered. Not baptism in water, but consolamentum, a consoling, a liberation. It was not given in haste, only when one was ready to leave the world behind. Not in death, but in detachment. To receive the consolamentum was to step beyond illusion, to see the flesh as veil. No relic was needed, no incense, no crown, only words and silence, and the presence of another soul ready to guide you inward. A ritual lost, yet lingering still in the deepest folds of time. Occitana language woven of light and sorrow, soft on the tongue, rich with poetry. It was the mother tongue of the Cathars, but also of troubadours who sang of love, not bound by church or law. To speak Occitan was to place music before commandment, to value nuance over decree, to sing what could not be said. The church feared the language not because it was foreign, but because it was free. And yet, some words remain. Paratge, the noble spirit in all people. Aema, not to possess, but to let love be. The language of the soul, now spoken only in dreams. Paratge, the word echoes quietly across valleys. It was the soul of Cathar culture. Not a law, but a way of being. To live with dignity, without dominance, to honor others, even those who disagree. It was not preached, but practiced, in markets, in songs, in how one broke bread. Paratge was the antidote to power, to hierarchy, to fear. In a world of kings and popes, Paratge was a quiet rebellion, a shared respect, rooted not in creed, but in conscience. Even now, the word lingers on stone markers, carved into forgotten lint, not as command, but as invitation. Not always lost to fire. Some truths hid in parchment. Thin sheets of animal skin, inked with care by trembling hands, hidden in caves under hearthstones or smuggled into Italy. Fragments of a dualist gospel where light and darkness battle, not in the heavens, but in the human heart. The language is dense, but the silence between lines speaks louder. We sense the yearning, the questioning, the clarity, and in those pages a reflection of ourselves still searching. Esclarmonde de Foix, a name like moonlight on water, a noblewoman, a Cathar, a beacon. She rejected marriage. She rejected courtly wealth, and in her defiance, she became a legend. They say she was present, that she slipped away into the mountains, never to be found, that she became light itself, guiding those who still walk the Cathar paths. Some call her a saint, others, a spirit, the Lady of Light. Even now, shepherds speak of her appearing in moonlit glades, carrying no torch, but illuminating everything. Esclarmonde, she who shines in the silence. In the heart of once a year at the spring equinox, the rising sun aligns perfectly with the ancient eastern window. A shaft of light pierces the stone and touches the altar, not by accident, but by intention. A flame reborn, a memory rekindled. They say the Cathars knew this. That light is not just symbol, but presence. That truth, once kindled, never dies. It only waits, like a spark beneath ash, like a whisper beneath silence, like a dream, waiting for us to awaken. Time wears many masks, but beneath them, there are truths that never age. The Cathars knew this. They did not seek dominion, nor monuments, but memory. They planted thoughts the way one plants seeds, without demand, without witness, trusting that one day, in another time, a soul might awaken. And so, their wisdom lives not in stone, but beneath the skin of time, softly pulsing through the dreams of those who still wonder. You are one such dreamer. Not all journeys are through space. Some paths spiral inward. To follow the Cathar path was to become a light bearer, not to convert others, but to see the world differently, to notice the soul behind the face, the silence behind the noise, the flicker of eternal truth in the eyes of a stranger. No title was needed, no robe, no relic, no ritual, only stillness and attention and reverence. To be a perhaps was not to believe in doctrine, but to believe in wonder. Historians search for lost texts, but some truths are not on parchment. There is a gospel without words, a gospel that rises from a field after rain, that stirs in the hush of dawn, that lives in the kindness between strangers. This is the Cathar gospel, veiled not to deceive, but to protect, like a pearl in its shell, like fire sheltered from the storm. We do not read it, we feel it. When the world slows, when judgment falls away, when we remember that we too are made of light. Even now, in forgotten valleys, the old stones breathe. Their mossy silence holds the memory of chants, of barefoot footsteps, of questions whispered into the night. Sit long enough beside a ruin, and you may hear them not with your ears, but with something older. A wind that carries no sound, but feeling. A hush that speaks of those who chose to live gently, even when the world did not understand. These stones do not mourn. They remember, and in remembering, they keep the flame alive. So we return, not to an end, but to a circle, to a dream that never ends. The Cathars were not erased. They were absorbed into the soil, into the sky, into the silence between breaths. Their truth lives wherever compassion is chosen over conquest, where simplicity is honored over spectacle, where the divine is felt not above, but within. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, know this: you carry their dream, and in dreaming it, you awaken something ancient, a knowing, a remembering, a gentle flame that no sword can extinguish. Now, dear traveler of twilight, the road behind you glows with the quiet steps of pilgrims long gone. The wind in the high hills still sings their lullabies. The stones still hum their truths. Let your breath slow, let your thoughts fall like petals. You are safe. You are among kindred souls. If this dream has stirred something deep within, a longing, a memory, a stillness, let your presence be known. Through a gentle offering, a whisper of light in the form of a like, and a vow to return by joining our circle through subscription. Tell us, wandering spirit, from where you dream tonight, so our global tapestry of ancient seekers may stretch from mountain to sea, from forest to desert, woven through time. May your night be soft, your rest be deep, and your spirit carry with it the wisdom of forgotten flames. Sleep now, the dream continues.